So last week, Stardust requested his release from the WWE. Now, I waited to talk about this because I wanted to hear it from his mouth. I didn't want to read dirt sheets. I don't want to read, oh, Cody left because of this. I wanted to hear what Cody actually said. Why would a guy who's been in the business 10 years, whose father was an icon, whose wife is in the business now, why would he just get up and leave? What would the reason be? Now, we know the reason's 100% now because he wrote out a detailed explanation. My one and only statement on the matter, no podcast or tell-all nonsense. Thank you, friends. And he brought up sitting in the Greensboro Coliseum. And he's going through it and, talking about being in the same locker room as Ric Flair from the 80s. And, how he's done so much, but he's been benched off of TV for so long. So essentially, you're in the back watching a monitor for somebody returning. He's talking about. And he's at a point where he is pitching things constantly. At first, yes, Cody Rhodes did want to be Stardust for his dad. And the thing people keep saying is he wants to be Stardust. He wants to be Stardust. Well, that is not the case. Cody's saying that he pitched to go back to Cody Rhodes, that he wanted to be Cody Rhodes, and the WWE writers just did nothing with it. Now, he called out some of the writers, to the writers, he's sick of pitching himself to try to get himself over to know his value. And I'm sitting here listening to this story, and it's kind of an apples-to-apples comparison, or apples to oranges, but I look at it in the way as what you are doing. Say you're good at social media or you're good at entertainment. If I'm a YouTuber and I created something from nothing, right? And now all of a sudden, not really now because I have a dead channel with a lot of dead subs, but for the most part, when I was really popping, my channel had a value. I knew my worth based on a video I could put up, what it should be worth. The problem was, before we knew all this with brand deals or other things, you are essentially pitching to writers who you're trying to show them why you have value, when nowadays people realize your value, and it's the opposite of creative. Instead of WWE writers going, okay, we have this guy, oh man, we could do something with this guy, you kind of write him off. And you don't see his value. And you get to a point of, yes, you're getting paid. Yes, you're getting paid to do your dream job, but you're not wrestling. Cody's last line in this thing says, as far as the future is concerned, though, I'm a wrestler, so that's what I'll do, wrestle. Now, I made this statement 2 weeks ago in one of my videos, and I said, listen, we are in a new era of wrestling where getting to the big show, WWE, probably won't last long. You're going to get your run, or if you do, if it gets over, something, like the Damian Sandow thing, or Cody and Goldust winning the tag team titles, you're going to probably at least try to get that one big push that WWE does. Whether it works or doesn't work then comes into repackaging. But then you spend a lot of time repackaging these guys. Meanwhile, you have a factory down to NXT just churning out gimmick after gimmick with 50 to 100 people on the roster going through constantly wrestling at shows in Florida. Yeah, you're not on the big show. You're not wrestling in front of 15,000 people on Monday Night Raw, but you're wrestling. You're not sitting in the back watching a monitor because you're not doing anything. You are wrestling, doing the thing that you love. Now, here's the thing. I feel to be in the same place as Cody Rhodes when it comes to WWE. I love wrestling. I love WWE with a passion. But the tools that I'm given, if you look at WWE 2K16, is like the writers. They don't have anything for me. I'm not a big fan of, I love simulation matches and I'm marking out playing this game. It's not something that you're not going to go and you don't watch epic matches. You watch stupid stuff, fun stuff. I miss the days of just messing around in 2K14 and having fun and getting over and people blowing up constantly. That's where it was at. Now we're at a point where it's like the writers, things are kind of stale. You don't know what you want to do. I said forever I wanted to expand. And when I first started YouTube, I had this creative goal, and I always have, to eventually be a filmmaker, produce online short content, scripted stuff. And my means to that was always gaming. It was always YouTube. It was always doing this kind of stuff to fund my other stuff. And that's for the most part what I did when my channel was really booming and I was making the big bucks. I invested in to giveaways. I bought equipment. I traveled to events. You know, I did the stuff related to the job. You didn't take the money and just run and celebrate and party. You try to put it back into the business, except I wasn't in a position to do that. Now you have somebody like Cody Rhodes who has been in this business. He's in the industry, and I'm not trying to compare YouTube to wrestling and say they're the same thing. But what I'm saying is you've been doing this business a long time now. For me, I've been trying to do YouTube since 2006. I've had at least 20 different channels going back to 2007 when I first started producing my first couple videos on YouTube. And then, you know, it's traveled and I've gotten repackaged so many times from, you know, doing the gimmicks of when I first started doing documentaries to realizing, okay, people aren't really paying to see documentaries. People aren't, you know, documentaries, while they're great, aren't the things that you're really going to get talked about or not. So I tried other stuff. And then I tried skit videos and comedy videos in 2008. 2009 comes around. We're still doing that kind of stuff. Car videos, stuff like that. It's not really working. You're getting over. So you switch it up and you do something else. Call of Duty. You try to get on Call of Duty, but you can't get on Call of Duty because the writers aren't noticing you. The writers aren't giving you something to do, even though you're applying to Machinima almost every week and you're using the Respawn app. And eventually you find that loophole. The way I get into Machinima or the way I get into YouTube content creation is by doing WWE wrestling because I have a passion for it, and the sports channel had nothing of it. And if you get on the sports channel, you get to Machinima. Wrestling. From the bottom to the top, you finally get there. You're on the top of the world. You have your dream job, but it's not creatively fulfilling anymore. You still love wrestling. You still love... In Cody Rhodes' case, you want to be out there entertaining the fans. You don't just want to give it up, thank the business, and move on. You want to wrestle. And I still want to do YouTube. I still want to do stuff like this, but it's figuring out how and creative ways to do it. When you're limited by a game or what you can or cannot do, no highlight reel, no story mode, etc., you're kind of limited. So then it comes to a point where you take a week off and you're trying to do something else, kind of like getting sent off TV or taken off TV, and you're trying to find that thing that's going to eventually stick. That's essentially what my YouTube channel has become, where I have the things that I really enjoy doing, like these discussion videos where you're talking, but deep down, you don't want to be able to just make a video where it's me sitting here giving my opinion. I want to be able to go out there to make a video that spent time working on it, editing it, scripting, and the people watch and go, damn. That's what's up. So that's why I make the comparison between Cody Rhodes and YouTube, getting to that point where, yes, you're on top. Meanwhile, a bunch of other people are passing you. They're working their way up. You got guys blowing up that are getting the main event slots, and meanwhile, you're here. But it's not necessarily those guys' fault, and it never is those guys' fault for passing you. It's you getting content or not having the willpower to do something. And Cody Rhodes did something that many superstars are afraid to do. And if you look at his tweets, seeing wrestlers like congratulate him and see, wow, this is great, man. I'm glad you had the balls to do this, say this. The fact that you had the willpower just to get up and just walk away from it. And you got guys like Meltzer reporting that it's not an amicable split. While although WWE did release him, they're going to hold him to the terms of contract and make it hard for him just to leave and go to TNA. Versus like if WWE releases somebody. So Cody, I get it. As somebody who has done YouTube now for 5 years, who's somebody who has switched up his hobbies and grows, and when I tweet about Call of Duty, people go, oh, you like Call of Duty, Tubby? I like Call of Duty far before I ever was a wrestling YouTuber. I played Call of Duty more than I ever played wrestling games. But I got into wrestling. It became my thing. I still love it. I still have a passion for it, but it needs to get repackaged. It needs to get put on a new channel, or it needs to find something that brings that spark out. And that's what I'm looking for. From scripted shows to things with wrestlers or podcasts, I'm working on it. I'm excited to see what I can do, but I'm more excited to see what Cody Rhodes, Damian Sandow, the guys that have made the decision, Wade Barrett, to leave the WWE, to get out of the shackles of a company that continues to hold people down, that has writers, according to Cody Rhodes, that are hitting on NXT talent. Cody, thank you for everything you've done. You're an inspiration to me in more ways than you can ever know.